Hey guys, I'm John Hoover, and here's what's up with OU football. Okay, so what started out as a quiet week really got going in the last few days, huh? Think about it. Huge wins for Oklahoma football, huge momentum for the program, big targets, big names, and it's all good. So it's Friday, January 16th, a little after noon, and the transfer portal closes tonight at midnight, about 11 and a half hours. So that's pretty much it. If you didn't get who you wanted, you're probably going to have to wait till next year. Sorry, you missed out. Because there's only one transfer portal window this year, 2 weeks in January, and then it's closed until 2027. So there are going to be some exceptions, of course. Players on the two teams still playing for the national championship, Miami and Indiana. They get their own little transfer portal window next week. And then any team who loses head coach, the head coach leaves, takes another job, whatever, that team also gets their own little portal window, but it's not until 5 days after his replacement has been hired. That's a good rule. One quick note right there, midnight tonight is the deadline for players to formally enter their name into the portal, right? So once they're in, there's no deadline for them to choose a school. You can take all summer if you want to. So from that perspective, I guess you could probably expect 2, 3, 4, maybe a handful of guys to come in and help Brent Venables and Jim Nagy and them fill in some spaces and add some depth from the portal moving forward, that kind of thing. So today, I'm going to look at OU with the portal kind of in the rear view. I think they just picked up a defensive back, an FCS defensive back. He won't be mentioned in today's video other than right here. But, they're still adding. They're still picking up some pieces and filling in some cracks where they have to, even though the secondary is pretty stacked for 2026. Anyway, there might be another name or two drop. You guys know this. Probably while I'm recording this, the way my luck runs with these kind of things, they're going to sign 5 guys. Who knows? But we'll just use Friday at like I said, 12:30 Friday as our jumping off point. So let's jump off and jump in. The avalanche of good news for Oklahoma this week actually started, like I said, kind of quietly on Tuesday. That's when a guy by the name of Bishop Thomas transferred in from Georgia State, defensive tackle. He played 2 years there after starting out his college career at Florida State in 2022. And he went and played at Colorado in 23. He's a big dude, but he's a guy that didn't play much at all really until this past season when he got into all 12 games. Made 48 tackles. He was a pretty disruptive guy, productive in 2025. He'll be a nice depth piece for OU as they try to replace, a couple of really good seniors on that defensive line coming up next fall. So then we move to Wednesday. The College Football Hall of Fame class of 2026 was announced. And would you look at that? Finally, George Cumbie is getting his due. Finally. Listen, I've interviewed Barry Switzer on this a million times, and he has always said George Cumbie was maybe one of the most unappreciated, underrated defensive players he ever had. Now think about this. 3-time All-Big 8 linebacker, Big 8 Newcomer of the Year, 2-time Big 8 Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time First-Team All-American, 1-time unanimous First-Team All-American. All he did, George Cumbie, at OU was make 437 tackles, 5 fumble recoveries, and 7 interceptions in an era when the teams didn't pass the football much. So how about that? And then after being a first-round draft pick of the Packers, only played 8 years in the NFL, only made All-Pro 1 year, right? I mean, holy cow. That dude has been deserving of the College Football Hall of Fame for a long time. So congrats to George. So those were nice, right? Transfer from Georgia State, defensive tackle, comes in. One of Switzer's guys goes into the Hall of Fame. I think that's 25 now. Former Sooners in the Hall of Fame, by the way. But then Thursday comes along, and if I can borrow another catchphrase from Venables here, that's when OU really hit 212. That's when they really started to boil some water. That's when Venables made it official that he has hired Jason Witten to coach OU tight ends. I talked about it last week right here when the news broke, and if you missed that video, trust me, you're going to want to watch it. Here's the link. But great quote from Witten in the press release. He said, "I love football, and I love teaching the game. And Oklahoma is as prestigious a college football program as there is in the country." He said he's thankful to Venables for the opportunity to work. He says, "It's been clear to me from the outset," this is amazing, "that he's one of the best leaders of men in football. And he has the pieces in place to compete for championships. That's from Jason Witten. He said, it's a tremendous opportunity, and I'm proud to be a Sooner. Guys, that's a mouthful. A mouthful. And then this is from Venables. It says, when you talk about Jason Witten, you start with the impeccable human being that he is. That's as a competitor, a leader, a coach, a husband, a dad. He's one of those rare people who represents incredibly high character, integrity, and excellence. More from Venables. He said he's a tremendous communicator, blessed with unbelievable interpersonal skills. He says that's who he was as a leader in the locker room, as a player, and you can see the impact and influence he has had as a head coach at the high school level at Liberty Christian. He's really special in that regard. He coached at Liberty Christian in Argyle for 5 years. Venables says he brings so much to the table in terms of coaching, mentoring, and leading, and he's had opportunities to coach in the NFL. But now he's coaching for the Sooners. How about that? Venables also says we're aligned and that our hearts are with the 18 to 23-year-olds who need you now more than ever. He's always been about that. So, again, strong words there from BV. So that was Thursday morning. Then Thursday afternoon hits, and boom, the big news that everyone has been waiting for finally drops. Isaiah Satania said no to the NFL, no to the portal, and he's coming back for his senior year at Oklahoma. How about that? I mean, only the best offensive player on the team saying he wants to run it back. Huge for OU. Remember, in the last couple of weeks, OU got commitments from a couple of big name wide receivers out of the portal. Trell Harris from Virginia, Parker Livingston from Texas. I think both of those guys are proven big play guys. I think they're reliable guys with good hands who know their way around a defense and a college football playbook. Those two last year, 90 catches, almost 90 catches, more than 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns combined. Then you bring back your all-SEC wide receiver, Isaiah Satania, 67 catches, 965 yards, 8 touchdowns. Dude went for 87 against Mizzou, 76 against Ole Miss, 58 against LSU, house call after house call after house call, and now suddenly the Oklahoma offense starts to look pretty good, pretty capable, certainly compared to last year, right? Then, about 3 hours later, we're still on Thursday here. More huge news for OU football. The Sooners get both number 10s back. Number 10 on offense, John Mateer, and number 10 on defense, Kip Lewis. I don't think that adds up to 20, but, Those guys announced together that they're going to be coming back in 2026. They, evaluated their draft grade, and they probably had an ear to the ground for any, crazy numbers out there that might have, shall we say, enticed some players into the portal. Not accusing anybody of tampering. Just saying that's how it works now. Anyway, both guys are back. For the defense, this is huge. Getting Kip back is beyond huge. It's enormous. An experienced guy, proven guy, obviously a big play guy, right? Here's a guy in Kip Lewis who already speaks Venables' language. He is just what the defense needed when we still haven't heard anything official on whether or not Owen Heineke's NCAA appeal for a 6th year came back or not. We assume it did not because, again, as of noon, 12:30 on Friday, the Senior Bowl put out its rosters earlier this week, and he was definitely still on that roster. So if you're curious or wondering, the Senior Bowl is like the first job interview for players who, look like they might be good NFL prospects, coached by NFL teams and actual NFL coaches in Mobile, Alabama. So Venables brings in Cole Sullivan from Michigan, right, to offset the loss of Heineke out of the transfer portal, and Kobe McKenzie, who went to Northwestern, and Sammy Omosigho, who went to UCLA, even though he said on Twitter that it broke his heart and he didn't want to leave OU. He had to leave OU, all that stuff. All of that is to say, the OU linebacker room in 2026 is in 1,000,000% better shape than it would be if Kip had left. And then, of course, John Mateer. Pull up a chair. We're going to want to talk about John Mateer. This is big. This is really big, extremely big. It's not like we expected Mateer to leave. We didn't. The NFL wasn't going to come calling, after what he put on tape this season. And probably same level of interest in the transfer portal. Kind of cool. Mateer's a great guy, great leader, great athlete, great representative of your football program, great spokesman. He's a great football player, and he's a tough dude. He's that kind of guy that you want leading your offense. But let's be honest, he wasn't the same quarterback after that thumb injury and surgery. Not that you can blame him for that, right? I mean, listen, Hey, I get it on Mateer. There's a lot of discord. There's a lot of disagreement. He got happy feet. He didn't see a lot of open receivers. He ran when he should have thrown. He threw when he should have run. A lot of times, he just didn't have a feel for what the defense was doing or where the advantages were for his offense. Kind of lost track. He talked a lot about, I got bad eyes. I had bad eyes tonight. I didn't see the field. Okay. There's no way you can convince me. There's no way you can truly believe that Oklahoma's offense in 2026 would be better without him. I'm not buying that. No. You're bringing back a guy, a quarterback, the field general presence that he has. You're bringing back a quarterback that threw the football 400 times last year, completed 62%, almost 2,900 yards, totaled 22 touchdowns on the ground and through the air, and he did more than half of that with a broken thumb. I mean, come on. I know I'm not changing anybody's mind on YouTube today, but that's just delusional if you think OU would be better off without him next year. It's just delusional. Having Mateer back for a second year in the SEC, and Ben Arbuckle should be better next season too. Think about it. But if you bring Mateer back and then you put 5 legit SEC offensive linemen around him, like we saw at the end of last season, the November run that they had, you put those big-time wide receivers that we've already talked about, Satania and those transfers, give him a couple of healthy running backs, give him a tight end room filled with actual SEC tight ends and their new coach. And there's no way, guys, no way the OU offense is not better in 2026. So I want to make one real quick point on the NFL draft. You'll like this. And guys jumping early, okay? This year, only 42 college football players were approved for early entry into the 2026 draft. 42. Last year, that number was 55. Year before that, it was 58. And that number from 2024 was reported as the fewest early entrants into the NFL draft since 2011. So it would seem from that data that NIL has been good for college football, at least in retention, because that number, listen, that number went from, you'll love these numbers, 56 in 2011. 56 players declared early for the draft in 2011. In 2012, 65. In 2013, 73. In 2014, 98. Then up to 27. In 2017, it jumped up to 103. And then in 2019, it peaked at 135. 135 early entrants to the NFL draft. This year, it's down to 42. Think about that. Getting the best players paid while they're in college is actually kind of doing what it was supposed to do. And that's help keep them from leaving early for money situations and running the risk of not getting drafted at all and being out of football within a year or two and have no diploma. I remember Bob Stoops used to always tell his players, if you can maximize your NFL contract value, your first rookie NFL 4-year contract value, by staying in school for another year, then why wouldn't you? And they almost always did. Stoops was right 9 times out of 10. So anyway, you want to talk more about Jason Witten? Let's talk about Jason Witten. It didn't take him long to get to work, man. We woke up Friday, and Oklahoma has a brand new commitment out of the transfer portal, a tight end, of course, and he comes from SEC powerhouse Tennessee, Witten's alma mater, which is ironic, cool, mean, I don't know, funny. Jack Van Dorselaer is Witten's first guy, so to speak. Didn't take him long. I mean, like 2 days, and he's got to commit out of the transfer portal. I don't know what to say other than I told y'all. He was a 4-star high school prospect coming out of South Lake Carroll. He played 1 season with the Vols. He only caught 5 passes for 23 yards and 1 touchdown as a true freshman this season. Okay, so he didn't tear anything up, but he's 6'5". He's 240 pounds. He was really renowned as a physical kind of blocker coming out of high school, and more of a traditional inline tight end who just loves to block and is pretty good at it. And you know what else? He's also a guy who ran the 200 meters in high school track, so he can move. I told y'all last week that Witten was going to pay off in recruiting before he ever coaches a game in Norman, and he has already. Kid had almost 30 offers he listed coming out of high school, including the big ones: Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Colorado, Florida, FSU, Georgia, LSU, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, USC, Notre Dame, and yes, Oklahoma. I'm telling you, being from the DFW, Van Dorselaer knows all about Jason Witten. And when the opportunity came up to play for the man, he jumped right on the middle of it. I promise you, he will not be the last. Okay, that's it for today. Appreciate you guys watching. Before you leave, I would love it if you could quickly hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Subscribe. Click on that little bell icon so you get the notifications anytime I post new content. And please hit that like button so we can help spread videos like this to more Sooner fans like you. And if you really like my videos, it'd be great if you could share them on your own social media channels. Please, that's awesome. Don't forget the website is where you're going to find all the latest OU news, all the in-depth personnel moves, both in and out of the transfer portal. So just bookmark that page, Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com, or just sign up for our newsletter, man, and the stories, they pop right into your inbox. I've also got my new exclusive content over on my Facebook page. Look for John E. Hoover Media on Facebook. Easy to subscribe there if you want even more exclusive OU content, or if you just more with the Twitters, you can just follow me there at John E. Hoover. All right, that's what's up with OU football. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time.